GM. Well, for you, Coop, it's a little bit more GN. Hope you're having a
One more
fantastic
hour
day.
till GM.
Well, I'm happy to have you up here. I think it's a perfect time to get started. We have tons of people in the space. It is absolutely pumping me up. We have almost 900 people in the space. It is such an amazing day today. As the name of the space does state, it is the very first day of our free character NFT mint. I know, Coop, we've been waiting for this day for a long time. We've been working very hard to get to it, and now is the very first of the three phases that start. Last Remains becoming an official Web3 gaming project with people holding a part of the project and being part of it in Web3 fashion. So, how are you feeling today, Coop?
Oh, you just covered it all, man. It has truly been months of hard work and just waiting to be, closer to a community that's been slowly growing. And it's been years of just ideation and excitement to build games again. So I'm just happy to be back and I'm happy to see this community growing.
Definitely. And that's the biggest part of it, is seeing the community grow. Everybody in the space here, you've probably seen, we've had a lot of growing support and just in general, a lot of excitement around Last Remains the last couple of weeks. I have had the wonderful pleasure of being able to actually connect with all of the people who are helping become supporters, who are putting out Last Remains content. We've got gameplay all over the place. So I hope you've been enjoying it as much as I have. But without further ado, let's get into the space here, Coop, because this is a good one. I'm just going to give you all a general idea of what the space is going to be. First things first, of course, we have myself. I am Guru, head of esports in BD for Last Remains. I've been working with the game for a couple of months now. It's been an absolute blast, working side by side with Coop and the team. And then, of course, we've got Coop here, the man, the myth, the legend. He is the founder and CEO, wearing all the hats and making things move forward. So it's a pleasure to be up here with you, Coop. Now, this space in particular is going to be a little bit more of a overview, kind of a summarize, talk about the mint, talk about Last Remains, just giving you guys a nice update, bringing you up to date and up to speed with everything Last Remains and Earn Alliance. Primarily Last Remains, but a little spice of Earn Alliance because it is important. And just making sure that we all know where we're at and where we're going with the game. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Coop, I'm going to really just be asking you a bunch of questions and just trying to learn more about the journey and see where Last Remains is. But as always, everybody who is listening, if you have not yet, make sure that you click on the thread in the bottom right. So open up that thread. It is the thread for the spaces. First thing you got to do, drop a like, hit that retweet button, get more people's eyes on the space so they can come in and check it out. But also know that this is one of the last chances for you to get a Z-list spot. So throw a question into that thread. We're going to be answering questions. We're looking for all the best questions. And if you do happen to have one of the best questions, you will end up getting yourself a zombie whitelist, which, I mean, the mint started right now. This is the badge mint, but we have the zombie whitelist mint coming up on the 24th. So this is one of your last chances to get in. So guys, get those questions on there. Let's get some really, really nice questions. Anything about Last Remains, anything about the journey, about the mint, about the character NFTs, throw it in there. And if you get chosen, you will get one of the final chances to get a zombie whitelist. But without further ado, now that you all know that, let's jump into Last Remains. I know everybody here probably knows, but I'm just going to give you a very quick intro, and then we're going to start talking a little bit more about what's happening, which is the mint. So Last Remains, of course, is an extremely high quality and exciting Web3 zombie survival battle royale. So this is a game that has been in development for a little while now, being built in behalf of Earn Alliance as the publishing company and Renderer Games. I myself have been enjoying it so much. We have a fully playable game that is in closed beta testing, and we've been working with some amazing communities, some great esports and competitive names to get feedback, to refine the game, and really just make it what we envision to be, which is an extremely fun first game with a strong competitive element that is on a quality level that meets not just Web 3 standards, but Web 2 standards. So Last Remains is an exciting game, but it is a little bit scary because, of course, it is a game with zombies in it. The idea, obviously, is to spawn into a map that is based in Chongqing, China, with a bunch of other players, loot, survive, battle, and of course climb around to make it to extraction. And if you do, then you get to pull out all those goodies, some of which might actually be Web3 NFTs. So quick little overview on there, but now I just want to make sure that I give Coop a quick little opportunity here. Coop, we're on Mint Day. What do you think? I know we did have a little bit of a hiccup that came up, but obviously we dealt with it very quickly. I was very happy to see how well the team responded to it. Other than that, Mint Day, last remains. I just want to get a quick little pulse check on you. How's it going? How are you feeling? I know it's late. I'm sure you're probably not going to sleep much today. Just give us a breakdown, and obviously introduce yourself a little bit, because I can do it, but I want to give you a chance.
Thanks, man. And super stoked to see everybody. 948 people right now. That's so sick. So, yeah, I'm Coop, Joseph Cooper. Been building games since I was 9 years old. Started modding games when I was nine, is from StarCraft maps, and then eventually MMO private servers, and then decided to start building my own games with people online. So I was really a child born on the internet and met some really great mentors along the way. And this is startup number 5, so super humbled to be bringing in all the cool peeps that are working together on this project. And yeah, like this is a special time where we got people listening. We're very excited to talk about these characters. We're trying to build a game that's actually fun. It is fun, biasly, of course, but we're starting to show probably about 100 to 150 people now have played the game in terms of some of our early partners, and the feedback's positive. The potential's there, so I'm stoked. So yeah, running the show and looking forward to the questions. Let's see where it goes.
I have to echo that sentiment on being stoked because of the feedback. That's literally what I've been doing. I have been playing so many times with all of these amazing people and getting the feedback. And even when it is, critical feedback, it's extremely good feedback. Things that we send over to the engineering team and they get implemented ASAP, and we see the game grow as a result. But overall, the one thing that I get from every single person that plays the game is that it is a blast. And the more and more people we get in, the funner it gets. So I just want to do a quick little plug. You guys, if you haven't yet, we have community large-scale game nights happening every weekend. Make sure you keep your eyes on that in the Discord. Come and join me on Twitch, and you can actually see what Last Remains is like in real time while we're playing with a bunch of people. So got to plug that in really quick. But okay, let's start with what is happening today. So the free character NFT mint, I really just want to break this down a little bit, Coop. So I'm just going to share a little bit about the mint, and maybe I'll let you jump in and just jump on top and see if there's anything I missed or anything you want to add. But to let everybody in the audience know, we are currently in the very first phase of our free character NFT mint. So let me break that down. What is the free character NFT? Well, that is a initial character NFT to be in the Last Remains ecosystem. Our character NFTs are the foundation of the Web3 element in Last Remains. We do use a character pass system, which is very similar to battle passes, if you are familiar with them from Riot Games, from Dota, from Call of Duty. This is a very well-known Web2 system. These character passes actually give you an opportunity to come and play Last Remains in a Web3 activated mode, so you can come in, you can extract with your NFTs, you can interact with the Web3 economy, and obviously be able to actually play the game as we believe it's meant to be played. So these are really, really important, and the free character NFTs themselves are the very first opportunity to get involved in that ecosystem. They're free. This is amazing. But just know, of course, that the free character NFTs themselves are just a single ticket here. So it is a single season character pass, battle pass, that will give you access to the game on launch. But most importantly, it's going to give you a few perks that, in my opinion, are the most valuable. And that is, it will give you initial access to some of our early access starting very soon here in the summer, where you'll be getting a chance to play a little bit with me and other players who are actually big Last Remains supporters and players, and get a chance to actually touch the game yourself. So this is huge. This, early access playtest opportunity is something that me as a gamer, I see as one of the biggest value points of being a character NFT holder. And then, of course, you're also going to get the opportunity to get involved with our stake search and rescue minigame, which is going to launch relatively soon here and be one of the foundational elements to start being a big contributor to the Last Remains economy. So this, I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but Coop, I know we're going to touch on it a little bit. This is definitely one of the biggest highlight points for the free character NFTs. And then, of course, you'll have the opportunity to get in on some of the upcoming equipment mints, etc. So, again, this is just an initial first opportunity to get involved in the ecosystem. And if you are a gamer, I mean, and you've been involved with the project, this is probably what you've been waiting for. But just bear in mind that there are a couple of phases to this free character NFT mint. The one starting today is for our badge holders. So these are, as somebody might mention, kind of like our OGs, our very long-term supporters. Anybody who's holding one of the badges will have an opportunity to mint today. But for a lot of you who have been involved maybe over the last just couple of weeks here, what you're probably looking forward to is the upcoming Z-list mint, the zombie whitelist mint, which is happening on the 24th. So just to make sure that everybody's aware of the phases, today is the badge mint. So this is little small scale, very exclusive mint. Coming up on the 24th is one of our large scale mints with all the zombie whitelist holders. And then finally, the public sale will be happening on the 27th to close it all off. And at that point in time, we'll have all of our free character NFTs minted and in the hands of all you amazing gamers. So I mean, besides that, I gave it a little bit of snip on the what the NFTs are, what the phases are. Of course, a little bit of a look into the value prop of these. But Coop, anything you want to add on top of that? Anything I might have missed before we go forward?
Not much, man. I think you really just got all the dates. I know it's a lot of information. This stuff is on the site. This stuff is on our Twitter. So if you weren't, taking notes, just make sure to go check that out. We're trying to communicate this all out. And again, this is a free mint, and we're excited about it. We're just curious where it's going to go. I'm curious on the agenda, Guru, if you can kind of cover that too, because we did just pin for the new people who haven't heard of Last Remains yet. There's a beautiful video pinned right now at the top from Ryan of an introduction. It's a 2 to 3 minute introduction with Guru's voice. Very sexy, I have to say. And he goes through what the game looks like and what it has to offer.
Yeah, so thank you, Goop. But yes, it's a great video. So let you guys know, we have a couple of tweets pinned up above, actually. So the first is, of course, the introduction to Last Remains, which is a great video to give you a very good introduction to the Last Remains game. And then after that, we actually have some information on the character NFTs. So if you are wanting to go and look into the character NFTs, some of the information, go up and check those pinned tweets on top. And then, of course, we have an introduction to Last Remains, the video itself. It should be a very nice video, actually. I see that there's a lot of likes, there's a lot of comments on it. People seem to be liking it. So if you haven't seen it yet, go and check it. But Coop, to give you an idea on the agenda here, really, that was the major, I guess you could say, mandatory part, going over the mint here, getting everybody up to date on it. But now we're going to get into the fun part. So I'll give you an idea of what's coming up. But what is really coming up is that I want to talk about the story of Last Remains. I want to talk about really the journey that got us here, where we're at currently, and obviously a little bit of a peek into the future of where we're going. So that's what this space is all about. This is talking about this huge milestone that we're at now, letting people know exactly what it is, the character NFT mint. But now I want to know a little bit more specifically from you, Coop. We're going to be taking a trip down memory lane and nostalgia lane here to just learn more about Last Remains as a project, as a team, as a game. So everybody can know exactly what it is that they're getting involved with when they come and participate in the free character NFT mint. So that's the exciting part here. But before we do that, I do just want to remind you guys once again, we are going to be giving away some of the last chance zombie whitelist NFTs to the best questions in the thread. So if you haven't yet, I see we've got 1,000 people in the space here. This is wild. It is very, very nice to have you all here. GMG, good afternoon, or even just good night if it's very late in the night for you. Make sure that you click on that thread in the bottom right to open it up. Throw your questions in the thread. Best questions are going to get a zombie whitelist. So throw them in there. We'll be addressing them and answering them later on. Anything Last Remains, anything about us, just anything about the market, whatever you want. If it's a good question and we answer it, you'll get a chance at the zombie whitelist. So now that that is over, Coop, let's get started. I want to ask you the most important question. Why Last Remains? What was the inspiration for this game, Coop? Like, why? I know you've told me a little bit here and there, but I just want to, in like a quick single answer, maybe give you like 30 to 60 seconds here. Why Last Remains?
Yeah, I can't take the credit with it. It's our partner Larry, and it is a friendship, a 14-year friendship of just being competitive, enjoying, working together. And he wanted to build this very realistic, gory, competitive game. And Battle Royale slash Web3 kind of was influenced from my end, and he was dancing on the stealth and just the detail of the realism of Chung Ching. So yeah, all I could say really is in the honest answer is that it came from a friendship. And the reason why he's driving it is that he has been playing a lot of stealth games like Elden Ring, Assassin's Creed, and he has been influenced to kind of bring that into the space for like a real-time competition because we haven't seen that before. So yeah, I think and also just the realism and like how intense it gets is probably a bit of like stress reliever from like the COVID days. I think COVID definitely influenced the amount of graphics and like intensity that this game has when you're like taking out these zombies. So I would say the animators went a little wild. But with that said, it's really just pure friendship, man. I think that's just ideas melding together.
That's such an amazing answer. It really is the power of friendship, isn't it? And I like,
Yeah.
Coop, that you mentioned the intensity of some of the executes. I gotta say, there are some that are just like really cool and efficient, and then there's a couple that are like, ooh, like who hurt you? And it really actually helps you feel the steam release. You're like, oh yeah, this helps me get it out. So I like that you mentioned that. I definitely feel that in the game. And when you guys start playing it here in the audience, you're definitely gonna see what I mean. It's great. Some of the executes are really, really good. So that is fantastic to know. And I think one of the biggest things is because I've obviously had a chance to meet Larry. Is I love how this is being developed between Earn Alliance, yourself, the team, Larry, Render. It's just it's so almost harmonious to watch you guys work together and be a part of it and see just how Larry responds to it and the passion that's put into the game. I love it because we've seen for so long how games have been developed more in a monetary business manner. And seeing that passion is just something that I think needs to be part of the gaming ecosystem again. So happy to hear that. Very, very happy to hear that. And I think it's an interesting point that's going to help develop Last Remains for a long time here. Speaking of developing Last Remains, I have another question that actually I've been asked a lot, and I think the audience is probably pretty excited. When did this all start? How long has Last Remains been in development for?
Yeah, so it was probably about a year ago when Larry and I started, like probably a year and a half ago, when Larry and I started like putting pen to paper of just ideas that we wanted to work together. We started just getting a prototype together and doing some combat and just Unreal 5. Unreal 5 was probably about 6 to 12 months old, and I was very inspired by the engine and technology that was coming out. And and yeah, so I would think in terms of like we go all the way back from like when we started exploring and not knowing what we wanted to do yet. It was about then. In terms of when we solidified the project, we had a pretty good foundation of like where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do. That was only 9 months ago. So when we started getting the zombies together, actually starting to put a prototype together where you can start taking them out and doing combat and getting in a room, that was only 9 months ago. And the team went from 3 to 20. It's about 21 people now on the dev team that are working on this game pretty quickly. And yeah, that's where it all started. So we're 9 months in terms of like taking this idea to what you're seeing it now, and we have a lot more to go.
Incredible. It is actually, I think it goes both ways on that 9 months. First off, just seeing how much can be accomplished in 9 months is amazing. And as you mentioned, a lot of it has to do with being activated by Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine really does a lot to bring power to the hands of creatives and passionate teams that want to build. But at the same time, I mean, we're 9 months in. We've got the playable game as it is. We're still refining. We're at such a great state, and we still have months ahead of us before we're actually planning to launch. So I mean, the game itself will have like a full year and a half to 2 year development process, which I mean is comparable to something that I think is a quality game. It goes to show we have a large team working on it. I know that the art assets and everything's being handled in house as well. Like it's a true passion project. So I mean, it goes to show, this isn't something that's just rushed. This isn't just a couple of months trying to fit together basic Unity assets and Unreal assets. This is a true game, and this is a game that we want to deliver on a very high quality level. So I'm really happy to hear that, Coop. Thanks for sharing that with us. And I think one of the things that I consider, 9 months might feel like a short amount of time. But in the Web3 world, 9 months feels like years, right? So I could just imagine, like from 9 months ago till now, the markets, the expectations, the current state of the game, of the team, etc. Like a lot of things have changed. So I think one of the things that I really want to dive into here is a couple of things. I want to really ask you then versus now for a few things. So one of the things that I want to ask here, just to start things off, is how was your vision, how was your idea for this game change from then until now? Has it changed? Is it still same? Are you still dialed in on the exact same vision, the exact same idea for Last Remains, or has things changed throughout the development process? And are things a little bit different now than they were when you initially started making the game?
Yeah, as you can see, I mean, I guess you're asking the question, but I hope you know, like, this is extremely agile, and I want everybody to, know that as well, that we are building this with the community. We have been asking questions about, what do you think about these type of tokenomics and these type of ways of like integrating Web3 with the game? Because we feel very comfortable on the game side. Like Larry's really driving this vision, and there's so much more to come. This is really, it sounds like a lot of people, 21 people, but like it takes a lot of people to make a game of like this level of quality, and we still consider ourselves to be bootstrapping and starting it up. And so in terms of where we are wanting to go, it has been a huge like just prototyping and feeling it out and getting feedback. So the main big change I would point out is that we are starting to lean in towards squads and teams. The ethos of like sitting with somebody and like having somebody there to help you and talk you through the game on your first session, and trying to like also divide and conquer when you're like looking for things. That's something we weren't really thinking about at the beginning. We really were given the feeling of we wanted a free for all game where everybody's alone and kind of just fending for themselves, and that's fun, but like there's something better about a team. So that's like one of the many things that are starting to come in terms of like the development and feedback. And then of course like the game itself, and the size of the map and the world and the limitations of Unreal 5. We're learning about it. We're also dealing with like new technologies on that front. So with that said, I think it has changed a lot. I don't have like so many little details. I could go into a detail and then it'd become a whole Twitter space on its own. So, but it's been great from a community point of view, from a technology point of view.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And actually, you mentioned something that I think is a really big point for me too, because I've been involved with the Last Remains project now for about half a year, right? The first time you ever reached out to me to come and test out the game and start chatting was back in December. I released a clip on my Twitter, if you guys haven't seen it yet, from way back in the day, of me and a well-known Web3 gamer, Spike. We were actually playtesting the game, and there's this funny interaction where we're trying to work together, and I end up killing him. And Coop, I think that pays testament. That might have been one of the very first times you saw, some players come together, work together to fight some zombies, and then, well, I mean, we might have made some mistakes. Mistakes were made, but overall, it really just goes to show that there's this other layer to the game, right? And I wanted to double down on that because that's exactly what I've been experiencing and what I've been doing. The game itself has this element of survival of the fittest, right? Like it's an open, hardcore, full loop PvPvE kind of system where you just feel like, it's every last man for himself, or woman, of course. But when I started getting involved with the playtests and I started walking people through it, one of the big things that I realized is that the game just really takes on the shape of a new experience when you start to implement some of the allegiances, some of the teams, some of the factions, some of the coordination. We even had in our community playtest, Coop, your brother, actually, we had him and a couple of his friends get together. And I remember at one point I made my way to extraction, and I'm sitting there, I got my frying pan in my hand. I'm feeling pretty powerful. And all of a sudden I'm faced with two people. And the coordination just made me like it made me scared because of course how am I going to fight two people, but it really made me smile because I'm sitting there. I've got one person up on like on a roof on the other side. I got another person up on like a little overhang, like a little veranda, and they're both sat in a certain way where they're telling me, hey, look, you got yourself into a sticky situation. We're working together. You better watch out because while you're dealing with one of us, the other one's going to get you. And it just really made me smile because I thought, this is one of the things that I think unleashes Last Remains is that you have that option, right? You have that opportunity to, just like in a real zombie apocalypse situation, either keep yourself in the number one regard or work together to try and overcome the apocalypse and deal with the challenges of the map. So I love that that's something that's kind of changed. I feel like I might have had a lot of influence in that. So that definitely makes me smile here. And I just wanted to share a little bit on my point of view too, right? Because I've been involved with the game for a while. And I think one of the things that I'm really, really realizing and the idea that I had for this game then versus now is the competitive activation in Last Remains is so much more clear now than it was then. When I first played the game, of course, I wasn't as good, but I also just saw like, hey, this looks very much like this individual process of I'm gonna loot the fastest, I'm gonna get out the fastest, and I'm just gonna try and get as much as I can. I'm gonna really just make this game a clear cut in out, no BS kind of experience to try and win and try and be the competitive leader. And now I've seen with all of the refinements in combat, in movement, in environments, we've seen that this game offers so much more on a competitive level than I initially thought. It's not just this in quick loot out kind of process. There's so much more in the game. The parkour elements increase the opportunity for you to take different routes and track people or lose people. The different kinds of combat in the game and the way that you can utilize the different equipment in the game gives you opportunities to be strategic. All of this really activates an experience that for me is getting more and more substantial to allow people to turn the game into something that we didn't even expect. And this is something that I really look forward to is when you get a highly capable competitive game, like a mechanical game in the hands of a pro, somebody who's just built and locked into playing that game, like we've seen with Dota, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Valorant, they almost start to add elements to the game that you didn't even know existed as the developer. And this is something that I'm starting to see in Last Remains now too, is that the competitive opportunity in this game is extremely high. And this isn't just me that's experienced this. I've even been doing some playtests, a little bit of alpha for anybody in the audience, with some pretty serious Web2 esports entities. And they have said the same thing. Like I've seen a few of them start to play the game in a way that really opened my eyes where I'm thinking, wow, this could really get to like turn into something wild and very interesting and exciting to watch as well. So that's all I wanted to mention. On my side, I've seen that change even just in the short time that I've been involved with you and the team, and there's so much more to come, right? So I think that's a great point to jump into the next then versus now, and that is the team. Coop, I know that we've had some changes. I've seen people come on board. I'm sure that a few people have probably, gone their own way in the process. So I want to ask you one more then versus now. How is the team? Initially, I'm sure that you started a little bit, leaner than this. Things have grown. You started to figure out that there are some positions or some support that you need. So I want to ask you that too. How has the team changed then versus now? And did you expect this to happen, or is this something that kind of was a little bit surprising to you because maybe your game development background was a little bit different than what you're dealing with right now?
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about a company as a whole, yes, it's been a journey because Earn Alliance is a publisher, and then Last Remains or Earn Game Studios is essentially the development entity. It's all the same family when you like look at all of it, but it's it's a very different business than I've ever built. And for this startup in particular, I was really focused on marketing and figuring out like how do we actually get people to discover us before building product. And that's something that I like. It's more or less four companies in, and on my fourth, I really wanted and learned that like, okay, if you build an awesome product and nobody can find that, you're not going to really work. It's just not going to work. And then you're just biasly thinking it's a nice product at that point. So this time, I just, especially coming back into gaming, I wanted to work with people I've worked with before, people that I know, that have been in the industry for a long time that I've trusted. And that's where Larry came in from, who I worked with 12 years ago, like I mentioned. He has a studio in Chongqing now with like 70 developers. So we have like a handful of those. And then we have Till, who's from Blizzard, and I've been off and on working with him for the last 10 years as well. And it was just great to finally like he passed, to a different direction from his previous startup, and he was ready for his next thing. And I just, hey man, you got to come check this out. And then of course there's you, Max, just meeting you and connecting with you online on Twitter, a little over a year ago, right? I think I don't know what our anniversary date is, but I'm sure if we looked up that calendar, it's not that long ago. So it's just really cool. But yeah, I didn't expect I guess the main like to answer kind of that question is I really didn't expect um the like amount of community that Web3 was going to give us at this stage. Like right now, what's happening right now, and the beauty of like the content that's starting to show up, and all the supporters that are about to reveal themselves in the coming weeks, that you've been talking to, that Karina's been talking to, and the rest of the team. Like I'm super excited to see the content and all the stuff come. So I was just blessed, like with the latest support that's been happening on Twitter and in the community.
Hey, I'm really happy to hear that. And honestly, Coop, I'm happy to be here. It's been a wild ride, but something that puts a smile on my face every day. I remember you and I were in a meeting once, and you said something that just really, really captured it perfectly. When you were like, "Hey, how are you feeling?" And I gave you an answer. I said, "Yeah, I'm waking up. Things are feeling great. I'm really enjoying this." And you wrote in there a single one-liner. You were like, "Wakes up with a smile on his face thinking about zombies." And I'm like, that's exactly what it is. I wake up with thoughts of zombies on my mind and a smile on my face. That's something I never expected. And probably anybody heard this, in like a decade ago or maybe decades in the future, they'd be like, what's wrong with this guy? But I love it. I love it to bits. So happy to be here. And speaking of, the community and the Twitter support, reminding everybody who's in the audience here, because we're over 1,000 still. We're at 1,041 people in the space. Love you guys. Happy to have you here. Hope once again you guys are as excited as we are with all of this. But I do want to make sure you all know we are going to be giving away some of the last chance zombie whitelist spots here for the best questions that are asked in the thread. So if you haven't opened up the thread yet, there's a button in the bottom right. You will be able to open up the thread. Make sure you drop the space of like, throw a retweet on there to bring more eyes to what's going on, and then also throw a question down below. The best questions will have a chance at some of our last opportunity zombie whitelist spots. So just reminding you guys all, we got 1,000 people in the space, but only like 15 comments in the thread. That's going to be pretty easy for all the people who've commented, so you better get in there. It's not a super, super difficult opportunity right now, but if you don't get your question in there, you won't have an opportunity to qualify. So just reminding you all. Now, I want to ask one quick thing, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about the near future of Last Remains and answering some of the questions. But Coop, I want to ask a little bit more about like the state of the game and some of the big things that obviously people would love to hear. And we're going to start up with that with, I want to know, what was the biggest challenge you or the team has faced so far to date? And then I'm going to ask you about the biggest accomplishment. But let's start right now. What was the biggest challenge, in your opinion, that the Last Remains team has faced to date?
It's definitely optimizing the entire game. Like right now, there's this bug, and essentially we realized the doors of so let's just back up. In Unreal 5, there's pretty much unlimited detail. You could put as many like 3D models and buildings and apartments and like chairs and beds. Like you can just imagine, like if you look out your window or if you're out, wherever you're at right now, and if you look around and you see the amount of detail that's in the real world, you can put that in on the Real 5 engine. That's the beauty of it. So that's what we started doing. And but some things in the world have logic that you want to interact with. And one of those things is doors. You want to be able to open and close a door, which means that there needs to be some code that does that. And for whatever reason, I mean, we know what the reason was now, but we just didn't know how to optimize those doors. Like, every door essentially had some code running, waiting for somebody to touch that doorknob. It was like, imagine it's like, is my doorknob touched yet? Nope. Is my doorknob touched yet? Nope. But like doing that thousands of times per second, and like, but then there's literally tens of thousands of doors in the world. So our overall optimization to get to 30 players, which just started happening last week, that problem lasted months until we cracked it. And it was awesome when it finally came to it. We were all, there's some videos on our Twitter, and it shows like the lobby with 30 people. And it's like 25 people, but that feeling was just magical. You could just, I'm sure Drew and I just had this grin that was like ear to ear. So that's definitely I would say the biggest challenge was door code.
Yes, it was. I remember those doors felt funky from the first day I opened them. I remember when I first played the game, I think one of the doors threw me through the wall, and I'm like, Coop, I think we got an issue.
It's like, no, that's how the game's played, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. Hey, let's spin the coin around. I wanna hit the other side. How about the biggest accomplishment? Is it the doors? No, it's got to be something else. What's the biggest accomplishment so far with Last Remains that you've experienced in your opinion?
Um, Biasly and just, selfishly gonna say it from my perspective, in my opinion, it's putting the team together. It's my role and how I look at what I do now is about just connecting great people together, people who it's the right time in their careers, they're hungry, they're interested, they're passionate, they want to do this. Just like you said, you wake up with zombies in your head, and it's been challenging. I mean, like you said, there's been people that came and went, since we started, and it's just been a journey. But like, it's for this team and like where we're heading and what's happening now, and all the people that have been a part of this, and the community that's like starting to come together, and the feedback and all the stuff that's happening, it's amazing. I would say that our biggest accomplishment is actually building and attracting and this group, and it is still super early. I'm currently trying to court like a Zynga game designer that I used to work with as well, who also worked at Ubisoft for a few years. And it's just these conversations of these like really fun, great, passionate people, and I'm just surrounded by passion, and I'm just can't wait for everybody to continue to feel each other's passion in that sense. So I would say that's the biggest accomplishment so far, and it's just the beginning.
That probably speaks volumes. I know everybody who's listening to that can probably tell that, you know, a great team is behind almost every great product, every great game. And that is just such an important thing. I think I wasn't even thinking about it until you mentioned it, but now that I think about the team on board with Earn Alliance and Last Remains, it really is an amazing group of people, right? It's an amazing team of not only just, like-minded and cohesive individuals, but very passionate and capable individuals. And I love working with them. So it has been a pleasure, Coop. Thanks. I'm very, very happy to be part of that team. But let's jump into a quick little, probably like 5 minute, maybe 10-minute section here, just giving people a little bit of a peek into what the near future looks like, especially since we're just now at, the free character NFT mint. And then we're going to jump into those questions. So one more reminder for everybody who is in the audience here, if you haven't thrown your question in the thread, bottom right corner, click the button, give the space a quick like and a retweet, and then throw a question in that thread. We'll be getting into them very soon. The next 5 to 10 minutes, we'll start answering them. So these are some of your last chances to get a last chance zombie whitelist for the upcoming zombie whitelist mint on the 24th. But let's jump into the near and far future of Last Remains. And Coop, I'm going to start this one off a little bit, and then I'll let you jump in and, just give us a quick little, or not even quick, I'll just let you tangent if you want. Just give us your vision of, what's coming, what's exciting about it, and what the future vision for Last Remains is. But if I was to get started here, especially where we're at right now, we're just at the free character NFT mint. This is such a starting point, in my personal opinion. This is where we've been working very, very hard just to get out of the gates, and this really is the opening of the gates here. I myself, I've been working in closed doors with a lot of people, with a lot of playtesters, with a lot of communities, chatting with different kinds of content creators, people who are really excited about the idea of Last Remains, but being able to get people involved, it's been this very, exclusive, methodical, thought out process of just getting the right people involved to come and help refine the game. And this is great because we needed this to get to a point where, again, we can have the support and the love that we're seeing right now from the Web3 gaming audience and the Web3 audience in general. But now that we're here, really for me, it's going to start activating a lot more of that collective development that I think makes Web3 gaming, the marvel that it is. Once we have that community feeling like they are part of the Last Remains ecosystem, they are part of the Last Remains project, and they themselves are going to benefit as a result of it. This is one of the things that I think personally is probably the biggest value point of Web3 gaming. This isn't just a game being developed by, the team here at Last Remains and Earn Alliance. This is a game that's being developed by everybody. And I love that now we're starting to get some people involved who are going to feel like they have a position in that. And from my point of view, what I'm really, really excited for is to get those people to actually be playing the game. So, as I mentioned above, one of the biggest value points of the free character NFTs is getting that early access to come and play and test the game. And this is something that I think is going to be invaluable because, first off, we want the game to be activated that way. I have been doing some smaller scale closed playtests with people, but Last Remains, in its essence, is a battle royale. This is something that needs to be experienced on large scale. We want to have full maps of people. We want all of these holders, all these community members to come in, get a taste of the game. We want them to feel it. We want them to get, eaten by zombies. We want them to be battling with each other, and we want these shenanigans to take place because not only do we need the game to be played like this in order for us to perfectly refine it, but I also just want to see and feel the game be played like this because this is what it was intended to do. So I am really, really excited for this. I think this is one of the biggest milestones for us because now we go forward and start to build with the community to build this amazing game that I'm here to make as competitive, exciting, and entertaining as possible. And I do have to say that we have some really, really amazing announcements on the gaming and competitive front that'll be coming in the near future that I just cannot wait to share with you guys. On the esports side, we're really making some moves, and we got some awesome, awesome blockbuster milestones that are on the way this year that I cannot wait to get in front of you guys. I can't wait to announce them. I can't wait to actually run them. I can't wait for you guys to be just hyped and enjoying them. But at the same time, I'm also really, really excited for some of the game-specific announcements. We have one that's cooking, Coop, that, oh, you and I have just been, I know we've been going back and forth on it. I woke up this morning to that message you sent me, and I gotta say, you want to talk about grins on my face? That was one of the biggest grins I've had. So super excited for that to come out. But yeah, for me, that's definitely what it's looking like, and that's what I'm most excited for. So, Coop, I'll let you take it away before we jump into the questions. Let me know, maybe a little bit what's coming on your side and why is this exciting? Like, what's so exciting about it?
Yeah, I'll kind of fill in the gaps from everything you said because you said a lot and it is all great. And for the casual players, there is also just the standard of just being able to play and have the feeling. So my take on what I like to tell people about the experience we're trying to get is when you're going through to wake up in this world and you get a radio, message saying, "Hey, there's a helicopter coming to get you, and we'll meet you in this area in 30 minutes." And you're working your way there, you're getting hungry, you're getting thirsty, you need to keep your HP up, you need weapons to defend yourselves. But on that journey, you can take risks to get loot, and that loot is NFTs. And if you've played Fortnite or, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds or any type of extraction game, and if you won first place, it's first of all, it takes a while, like, to actually win first place, and when you do win, it feels amazing to get that chicken dinner. And the second thing, though, that we're starting to feel is if you find something super rare and super epic, and then you're able to take it out, like, that's the feeling that I just can't wait until it becomes main net, like an actual, like, skin that's epic that, has been extracted that could be taken to the open free economy or could be used, for my personal gaming, for my personal ladder, for my personal competition. So I'm super excited about that, and I would say like the other pieces is just the experimentation of all this. This stake search and rescue game that we're going to be talking about in the next few weeks. I'm really excited about it. It's a new concept of gamified staking. When we were speaking to some of our early partners, they're like, well, staking, that's just to make people hold your token. I'm like, no, 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 we're not staking token. We're taking characters and NFTs, you're combining them in a specific way, like gearing them up to go to battle and go search for some stuff. And you got to do it right. You can't just blindly put that stuff in there. They're not gonna they're not gonna survive. So it's gonna be fun. It's an experiment, and I'm really curious, about that journey because we're developing it like very soon, the first lines of code. And we're hoping with this new community, we're going to be having that conversation and sharing and getting that feedback. So, I mean, I can go on forever for like the boss fights, the guild wars from the guild ladder or faction ladder, clan ladder, whatever you want to call it. Like, there's just so much that's, up and coming that we want to do. But for now, I will save people time. We'll move to the questions. I'm excited for it all, and I hope everybody's going to join us for the journey.
100% Coop. Couldn't agree more. I actually think that that's again some of the biggest parts of it, right? How this is going to bring the community together and really just let us grow as a community. But without further ado, we are on to the part that I am really looking forward to because we got some good questions. Actually, I've been looking through them. There's some great questions here. So I do just want to let you all know once again, these questions are going to qualify for the Zombie Whitelist. Zombie Whitelist is going to be available on the 24th. Really, really happy to give you guys this last opportunity to get involved with the project as we're minting the free character NFTs. So without further ado, let's jump into the questions here. We have a really, really good question here. And Coop, I think this is one that, in the spirit of the mint starting is a good thing to touch on. And I do actually want to throw this at you because I'm interested in the answer. But we got a question from Spidey here. Spidey, fantastic question. You ask, from the last update, we know that these characters will act as a season pass in the game. And if I had minted 4 characters, so not just 1, but 4, will that work as 4 season passes? Spidey asks. So Coop, how does this work? If you minted a bunch of characters, can you use them season after season after season? Are these characters that we mint today only going to be available for 1 season? How does that work?
Yeah, so each character could be used for a season and they're not attached to a specific season. So if you wanted to hold on to some of these characters that you're minting today and you get all the way down to season 4 and that's the season that you want to start playing with that character, that's where you get to lock it in. You'll bring it through a bridge of some sort to the digital world of Last Remains, and you'll be able to use it and you'll be able to start taking the NFTs and skins that you find in game that if you find them and you extract them, you can bring them back to the Web3 world or you can use them like I was describing earlier. But back to the point, it is for this tickets to 4 season passes, and it's your decision if you want to go in season 0, season 1, season 4. You can do them all in season 0 if you wanted to. It's up to you. But I would definitely recommend using them one at a time. Depending on the grades. There's actually a nuance to that. It depends if you have like D grade and S grade characters. So depending on the characters, there's more information about the leaderboards coming out soon, and you might want to actually, play multiple leaderboards at the same time. So, but we won't get into that detail today.
That's awesome. Having a built-in smurfing system. I love that.
Exactly.
I wanted to jump on top of that and also mention that, having more than one of the free character NFTs, or just in general, the character NFTs, it's going to allow you to, better activate the stake search and rescue game as well. Because Coop, if I'm not mistaken, we do have it set where you can stake up to 3 characters with equipment for the stake search and rescue, correct?
That's correct. Yep, you could put a team together and you could play staking indefinitely with characters. There's no season limitation. So when it comes to the stake search and rescue, you can have fun as long as you want with those characters.
Incredible. Yeah. So I know me personally, I'm definitely going to have a couple of squads together. So that's definitely a good use for it. But more to come on the leaderboards as well and how that might give you an opportunity to play a couple of characters in one season. But just know, Spidey, first off, great question. Second off, you'll have those characters to be able to play up to 4 times each. You're not going to be forced to use them before the season is over unless you activated them. So great question, Spidey. Thanks for that one. We're going to jump into another question that I think is I like it. I like it a lot. And I actually think that this works very well with your name, by the way. So Backstab, first off, congratulations. You won a zombie whitelist here. Your question got answered. And I also love that your question fits very well with your name. So Backstab here asks a question about my girl November, which Coop, you already know that's my favorite S grade character in the game. But November is the assassin. And he says, in the future, will there be any character equipment designs or concepts coming from some of the suggestions in the community? I would love to have a dual knife with November. So I want to know, Coop, do you think we're going to work with the community a little bit? Maybe get some special equipment or some special items or weapons in the game that come from some of their suggestions, such as a dual knife for the assassin November.
Of course. We like I always want to talk about this stuff. As you know, Guru, I come from the modding communities of, learning how to contribute to games and build and learn and grow and do all this great stuff. And that's what made me an engineer. And it started with that partnership, that opportunity of collaborating with projects online and with people online. So the answer is definitely yes. We don't have an exact answer of how that's going to work. How are we going to take in like community contributions? But in terms of community suggestions, like hell yes, like we definitely want everybody to give us the ideas. We're listening. And when we say we're listening, it's, some people say that out loud, like nonchalantly, like we really do mean it. This is we're building this for us to play together, our community to play together. Like liquidity is super important for a battle royale, which means that we all need to like get together and actually want to play. And if that doesn't happen, then you're gonna just be alone with a bunch of zombies. And yes, that's very romantic. So yeah, we definitely want to bring in that stuff. And dual knives, we haven't talked about it yet. Your suggestion is now in the pipe. And but there's also, my thing that I'm waiting for is the alarm clock. Like instead of a beer bottle, I want to be able to throw an alarm clock to like distract some zombies. So I mean, it's gonna be fun. Like just figuring out how is this game gonna evolve together.
Yep, I think the throwables has been something we've actually had a lot of feedback and requests on. The amount of times I've been asked, why can't I throw my frying pan? And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Maybe we'll have some thrown frying pans in the game. Maybe certain items will actually be able to be equipped into your thrown spot. Who knows, right? We're getting this kind of feedback. The great thing about where we're at right now with Last Remains and everybody here that's involved is that you cannot underestimate the influence that you can have in the final product of what this game is going to be. This is the essence of Web3. We're building this together, right? And me and Coop and the team, we don't have all the answers. We're here doing our best, and we don't want to build behind closed doors. This isn't Web2. This is Web3. We've got a new world. We've got a new community and a new ecosystem to develop collectively with. So yeah, get involved, get these suggestions out. You never know when just a single comment in a Twitter space might end up actually leading to your desired item being in the game. So great job with that question. Also love that Backstab. You asked a question about an assassin. I have a feeling you're probably a rogue archetype, so you and I are going to get along very well. Um, but let's jump into one more question here, and I think this I was kind of stuck between two different questions here because I think there were so many good questions and I really wanted to grab a couple of them, but I think just in the essence of it being obviously the free character NFT and just wanting to finish this off on a point to kind of bring people back up to speed as to what this is, why this is. Baby girl, you asked a really good question here, and first off, congratulations, you ended up winning one of the zombie whitelist spots for this question. But Baby girl asks, it's now guaranteed mint spot. And can you specify to us what we can do with these NFT characters? And does the rarity distribution have a good random probability as to be fair with the zombie whitelist and public minting? So the way we're going to do this, Coop, is I'll just quickly just remind everybody as to what you can do with the character NFTs, and then I'll let you jump in and maybe talk a little bit more about the character rarity distribution and also where people can find that info, because that's all public info. So I'll start off with, again, these character NFTs are the foundational, aspect of Last Remains. This in-game will be your character that you are playing through a season. It is going to be your character pass, your battle pass that allows you to qualify for the Web3 opportunities, the Web3 rewards and incentives in the game. But at the same time, this is also going to be your ticket into the Last Remains ecosystem for all of the early access and the pre-launch activities that we have going on. The first of which obviously is going to be having early access to be able to come and play test the game and even potentially qualify here for some early rewards, such as Coop, you and I have been talking about a Season 0 launch. So a lot of really exciting stuff on the board there for all of our character NFT holders. But at the same time, it's also going to be your opportunity to come and get involved in some of the early gamified staking that we have set up too, with the stake search and rescue, and even qualifying you as well for some of the equipment mints that are coming, etc. Really, this is like your ticket in to the ecosystem. And then once we actually get into the game and the game is launched, this is your ticket in for a season as well. So not only do you get to be involved in the early initiatives that we have planned for Last Remains, but you also get an opportunity to play Last Remains as it is intended as a Web3 game when we launch. Because we do have a free-to-play Web2 opportunity to come and play the game, which is going to be complete Web2 experience, non-extractive, fully soul-bound, not limiting people's ability to play the game, but limiting people's ability to interact with the Web3 and player real money economy. But having one of these free character NFTs gives you an opportunity to play that season correctly. So that should answer your question there. Lots to do. I would recommend, if you do want to know a little bit more, because again, that's a lot of information, check out the website, also check out the light paper, and just make sure that you're staying up to date by following the Last Remains Twitter, which is here hosting the space with me, and joining the Discord so that you can get all of the notifications and updates as we go. But now that being said, Coop, I'll let you take it from here. Let's talk a little bit about the rarity and distribution, and then of course how that's set up and where people can find that information.
Yeah, sure. So firstly, to find all this information, it's on lastremains.gg, and at the top right, you'll find the light paper, and we've been writing heavily, trying to make this as transparent and open as possible. So you'll see the actual odds and the distribution for each mint, and then of course our, like, once we get to the end where the game is actually public, what is going to be the odds to get these characters then. And in terms of how this rarity is broken down, there is my favorite, biasly, is the DCBAS system, which is more of an Eastern MMORPG system, and D being D grade, which would be the lowest grade, the most common grade that you can get. So that sits around, I believe it was like the 70% rate near the end game. And then you have all the way up to S. So the S grade is currently sitting at about 0.1%, 1 to 1.1 to 1%. I'm going to have to pull these numbers up so they're at the top of my head. But you can just imagine them being extremely, extremely rare. I'm actually looking at November, and there's not that many Novembers out there right now there's not even a single one listed on chain. So whoever got them, it's definitely holding them right now. So back to it, 0.25% actually. I'm looking at the numbers now for S grade. So a few Novembers got out there with Roland and Sue and Hugo. So that's the grading system, and each grade, as you get higher, there's some attributes that you'll see that are on them. Some S grades have more attributes. They might be able to have better melee combat. They might be able to have a bit of parkour abilities, being able to jump higher. So definitely check out the traits and what's available, because some people come with some really interesting stuff. You got your nurses too who get that first aid kit at the beginning, which is pretty sick. And then the other thing is that there are some classes. So if you are holders right now, or if somebody's holding it, the first thing that you're going to really want to read is the stake search and rescue, and you're going to want to look at the stake search and rescue class, because those are seasonal classes that will change for that particular mini game, the on-chain staking game, and each character has a different one, and they can be teamed up together. You might want to put a healer with a protector, for example, and start experimenting with different combinations.
Fantastic. Really, really good answer. And it also gives you guys a little bit more information on what you can do with them, right? I know I myself, I hope that I can get lucky. If not, I might have to sweep a little bit, but I'm really, really excited to have all of the character NFTs minted and see exactly who got what. If you did end up minting a character NFT and you got something, throw it up on Twitter. Tag the Last Remains Twitter. Just in general, bring some eyes to it. And we'll definitely show you some love. We want to see what you guys ended up minting. So if you minted a character, fits into your archetype, maybe you're really, really excited about it. Maybe you got super excited and ended up minting one of your S grades that you were looking for. Drop it on Twitter. Tell us. I want to see it. I want to see exactly who got what, or throw it in the Discord. Let us know, because I'm going to be eyeing through those. I really, really like seeing what people get. So that all being said, though, Coop, we're coming to the end of the space. We're pretty much on time, which is great. This doesn't always happen. Usually we go on tangents and we just go over. But it seems like today we were actually pretty tight. The agenda was really good. The questions were fantastic. Congratulations to the 3 winners again. Spidey, Backstab, and Baby Girl. Amazing questions. And to the audience as well. We had a huge turnout today. Had over 1,000 people in the space at one point. I hope you all are having a fantastic day, whether it be GM, GA, or GE. Thank you again for joining us on this incredibly exciting day, the first day of our free character NFT mint. And just know, as I said, this is just the starting point, right? We've just started here. We have some exciting things coming up. I will be running a community game night on the weekend on the Play Last Remains Twitch. So you can get that on our Twitter. If you haven't followed it yet, make sure you are following the Last Remains Twitter. We're going to be putting a post out talking about that big game night. Make sure you check it out, because you'll be able to see the game in its true essence. Also, if you want to see a little bit on the game, know that we have that pinned tweet up above. Click on it. It's the introduction to Last Remains. If you haven't had enough of listening to my voice, you'll be able to hear a little bit more of it in that video, and also watch a little bit more about what the game's about. So without further ado, thank you all very much for joining. Once again, congratulations to anybody who minted. And Coop, I'll let you finalize things up here, and then we will end the space.
Yeah, I think you covered it. I'm super stoked, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and your attention, and we're stoked. I just can't, this is a great time. I'm like I tell my wife, I'm just bullish on life right now. This is just life is fun. This is fun. Things are getting better on planet Earth in terms of like the COVID world. Being here out of Hong Kong, we were in the tail end of stuff, and so on a personal note, I'm super happy, and I hope everybody is happy if they got the mint so far. Stay tuned for more opportunities in the coming months. There are opportunities for character mints, equipment mints, and the free one is on the 27th. So if you don't get any whitelists, you don't get any opportunities to the events that have happened or are happening right now, just like we did now. On the 27th, there is going to be an open free for all mint. So just head over to earnalliance.com and just make sure you bookmark it and put a reminder. And everybody have a good rest of the week.
Goodbye, everyone.